Literally Venting. This is episode 2. I hope you guys enjoyed the first video last week. I got quite a few really nice comments, so I really appreciate that. That was nice. And I also got quite a few suggestions for topics for this week, which was very helpful, so thank you. Again, if you have anything that you would like me to talk about, if you want my opinion on, please leave it in the comments below. And I'll try and incorporate it somehow into an upcoming video. Let me close this. So, last week in the comments I got a few people asking me to just talk generally about the makeup industry. And I was a little bit hesitant because I was never actually like a working makeup artist. I mean, I did a few things, but I was never like a proper working makeup artist. But I do think that I did enough, and I did see enough to have an opinion, to have some things to talk about. Do you guys like my pajamas? How good are they? These were like, I bought these secondhand. They're the Fenty ones, and they were like, someone was selling them for like both the top and the bottom for like 20 bucks, and it was like the best thing I ever bought. But anyway, today's really cold outside. It's a horrible day. It's been raining all day, so it feels like a perfect day to film this. A few of you guys wanted me to talk about the makeup industry, and as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about, you know, what could I possibly talk about, and then I realized that there is so much to talk about. So kind of to just like generalize it and to just start off, I mean, you guys know how I feel about it. Obviously, I didn't really enjoy it a whole lot. There were parts of it that I really loved, but the actual industry itself I didn't enjoy that at all. And I kind of want to speak a little bit more about why I didn't. So basically, I think I'll just like go through it like chronologically. So I think my first like real introduction to the to like that whole world was with Marc Jacobs. I mean, that was definitely the first introduction. That was the first sort of time I'd ever been like really out and doing it. So with Marc Jacobs, if you guys don't know, we were basically like influencer ambassadors for the brand. So like on our social medias, like we had to, you know, like we had to represent the brand, and we had to like promote the brand and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so like everyone at Marc Jacobs who we worked with, and who like, you know, you have like a really close, like 3 or 4 people that you work with on everything, and they're like, you know, your main point of contact and all that kind of stuff. And whenever we traveled, like we traveled quite a bit. I traveled to like the States quite a bit, to like LA and New York with them. And so like on every one of those trips, it was like the same group of people that would come with us each time. So that was really cool, and it was really fun. It was really fun. I really enjoyed that, and like some of the stuff we did with them was just insane. Like, like we stayed in like $7 million penthouses in like, you know, in Soho in New York, and we stayed in the Chateau in LA, and like fucking, I don't know, we worked backstage at New York Fashion Week. Like it was so weird. I think the first instance when I felt a little bit like, oh, about it all was when we were, I mean, I can't remember which came first type of thing. The one that I remember the most was when we were at New York Fashion Week. So we went backstage and we assisted with the makeup artist at New York Fashion Week for the Marc Jacobs show, which was like, I mean, it was so cool. It was so cool, and I whenever I think about it, I just think that that's so insane. Because I don't know if I'll ever get the opportunity to do that again, but that was really cool. But so that was sort of like the first introduction I'd ever had with like celebrities. And that was a really weird thing. So a few of the models that were walking the show, like they were pretty big celebrities and pretty well-known models, and we were just standing there like, you know, we were like doing the makeup on these girls and stuff. And what really shocked me the most was when one of the girls walked in, and she was like one of the bigger models that was walking, and instantly as she walked in, everyone just like swooped to her, and she was instantly the most important in the room, and she was like she was it, you know what I mean? And it was this huge frenzy that she just walked in, and it was just like, that was so bizarre. It was like, what? It was like, I get that she's really popular, and I get that she's the biggest one, but it was just like, everyone was just instantly up her ass, and was instantly just like trying to get a picture or ask her questions and blah blah, and like you could just feel that she wasn't really into it. You know, obviously she you know, she gets that everywhere she goes, but that was, I just found that very weird, that, you know, celebrity culture is, when you're actually like there in front of it, it's such a weird fucking thing. It's so weird, because it's like she's just chilling, and everyone's like, yeah, So yeah, it just made me realize that like the whole celebrity culture around it all was just very bizarre, and I just didn't like. I just found it very icky, and just you could just tell that, I don't know, that some people just, I mean, this is obvious, but some people just get like preference, and some people get special treatment for sure. And that was something that I realized. I was like, wow, that's so insane. But and also just like, and I'm not gonna name any names, but like some of the models were just really lovely, and then others were just like so unnecessarily rude. It was so bizarre. But I just can't, like, I found it quite difficult to understand why it was such a big deal. So I remember leaving the show at the end of the night, and leaving, we walked out and there was all these paparazzi. It was so weird. There's all these paparazzi, and Lil' Kim walked out, and it was like fucking mayhem. It was like mayhem for like a good like 7 seconds until she just walked down and like got into a car, and I was just like, holy shit, this is so weird. This is so weird. So that was definitely one of the interesting things that I found about it. But my personal experience is obviously a lot different to, you know, everyone's personal experience in the industry would be a lot different. And this is very niche again. But what I found really difficult up until the very end, and still even now, like I found it, you know, we'd do these shoots, and we'd do these shoots, like our entire thing was we had to make content for their social media. So we'd make content for their YouTube and their Instagram and all that stuff, and we would have these shoots, and there would be a crew of like 15 people all there just to shoot you. And you know, you'd have your set day, and you'd have to come in and you'd have to be prepared, and it was like every single one of these 15 people, all the money that they put into it, you know, the everything. It was just like some of this stuff was just so, it was just a lot of stuff that had gone into it. And then to be sitting there in front of the camera, and like it's all on you now, you know what I mean? Like you've got to, the only reason all these people are here is because of you. And that was such a trip. And like the first few times we did it was so difficult. I found it so hard, especially having been flown all the way from Australia to the States, like, and being, you know, it was so much pressure, and I found it really difficult. But even towards the end, I found it really hard, and I still find it really hard to justify being like the center of attention like that. But that was very weird. Okay, sorry for the change in light. But every single person I worked with Marc Jacobs was so nice. They were very lovely, and like all the, you know, everyone, very nice people, and that made it a lot easier. So that was really cool. I think when it really comes down to it, and the reason that I struggled so much with it was because I couldn't understand why it was so important. I couldn't understand why the makeup industry was so important. Like I get it. I get it. But at some points, it felt like it was like life or death. And I couldn't understand how we could be placing so much importance on something like that when, you know, especially in the States, all you have to do is walk down the street and you see 3 people sitting in the gutters, you know, homeless, covered in their own piss and shit. And it was just like, where, you know, it's like the, you know, just like the unbelievable amount of money that goes into this stuff is just so mind-boggling to me, and I really struggled with that. So that was my thing. That was my experience with that. And then the second thing I did obviously was the show. And that was, again, I had the same, I kind of felt the same way about that as I did with the Marc Jacobs stuff. It was very hard to comprehend the level of it. You know, what was being put into it, when, you know, it was hard to be a part of that when you knew when you can clearly see what else is going on in the world. It was a little bit difficult to be so invested in that. But again, so grateful. Really, you know, for the most part, I really enjoyed the show. And, you know, I'm very glad to have done that. But if we're talking about my experience and all that, I think the filming of the show was totally fine. That wasn't the part that I found difficult, for the most part anyway, other than that it was just like extremely tiring and very stressful, but that's just how it is. But after the show, that was when it was so unbelievably hard. And that, I mean, I talked about this last week, but that was absolutely the straw that broke the camel's back. Like moving to LA and actually being kind of immersed in it was terrifying. So terrifying. I think one of the biggest things was like I got invited to a few of those like influencer makeup launch parties. I went to 2 of them, and it was, I can say this with so much honesty and certainty, it was the most bizarre experience that I'd ever had. It was so weird. It was so disgusting. I mean, talk about struggling to justify something. Like there was like, you can't, like no amount of there's no amount of justification that can make that an okay thing. Like it's not necessary. It's not necessary, and it's not contributing anything positive to the world, and it's just breeding more and more insecurity and more, I don't know, I found it very scary. Like the first one I went to, I can't even remember what brand it was. I don't even remember. I think one of my friends invited me, and I was like, sure, I'll go. Why not? I went with kind of like a positive attitude. I was like, yeah, this could be fun. And you walk in, and it's like everyone that looks like, oh my god, it was just so bad. Everyone looks like their Instagram photos, but I mean, obviously pre the Facetune, but you can see what they're doing. Like you can see, like, and I don't want to, like, I'm not judging at all. You know, to each their own. Some people really enjoy it, and some people really enjoy it, and that's great. That's so great. But my take from it was just, I found it so depressing and so sad. Like these people were just grasping at straws to prove themselves, it felt like, and you know, there was a few people there that were like big influencers that kind of, you know, you'd know. And again, it's that thing. It was that thing again that really freaked me out. It was just like people were so far up their asses, just trying to get a photo or trying to just get something to prove that they'd talk to them or just anything. It was so bizarre. And then those people are just standing there like they're the ones, and they're, you know, it's a privilege for you guys to be here around me. And I was just like, oh my god. Like at the end of the day, we're all here at this event at the same time. You're no better than me or anybody else. Like you're still here. You know what I mean? You might be wearing like $3,000 shoes, but like, what does that mean? What does that mean? It was just so gross, and like you could just tell that people were just, I don't know. It really got me riled up, and it really freaked me out. I remember when I got in the Uber on the way home, I called my sister Sophie, and I was like, dude, I wish you were here right now. I wish you were here right now to have seen that. That was the weirdest thing ever. And I remember turning to 2 of my friends that live in LA, and that they're very in that world. And I just was like, don't you find this fucking weird? Like they go to these parties like every week type of thing. And I just turned to them, I was like, don't you think this is just so bizarre? Like this is so bizarre. And they just didn't, they were like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is it. Like this is great. And I was like, and like you guys know what I'm talking about. Like you see these photos of these influencers at these parties, and it's so much fun and it's great, and they're having the best time, and you're just like, damn, I really wish I could be there. Like that looks like a really cool time. There's so many fun people there. And then you go, and the reality is that people are spending 45 minutes trying to get the perfect photo, and then they're in the corner not talking to each other, editing the photo for the next half an hour, and then they go home. It just like you hear about all this world that's being super fake, but it was more fake than you could even comprehend. And another thing that I really didn't like about it is it didn't like celebrate or encourage. It didn't seem to celebrate or encourage any sort of like individuality or authenticity. Like everybody looked the exact same. Everybody was doing the same thing. Everyone was getting the same photos. Everyone was creating the same content. It was just like, it's like so unbelievably oversaturated. It's just terrifying. And it's just out of control now. It's so out of control. Like I could get together 15 photos of completely different people, and they would all look the exact same. The exact same. And that's the stuff that like, and what really grinds my gears is that that's the stuff that is just being pushed in the algorithms. And like, anyway, we're not going to talk about that because it really doesn't fucking matter. I mean, talk about something that doesn't matter, but I just think that my overall consensus of it is that I just fear that the makeup industry no longer celebrates or encourages any sort of individuality or any sort of creativity. Like it just doesn't. I think if you can have no part of it, then I would highly suggest that you have no part of it. If you cannot feed into that, and if you cannot feed into that and like promote that, then that's all that I can suggest. But yeah, I hope this video didn't seem too like scrambly and all over the place. But yeah, I hope you guys found that interesting. I hope you guys found that helpful. I hope that was worth watching for you guys. One day I'll sit down and do a story time of everything. I will. I promise you I will. But anyway, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please write anything you want in the comments, anything, and I will talk about it. Any topics that you think you'd want my opinion on or anything like that, chuck them in the comments. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Bye!